So what's going on YouTube? AJ Simmons back today with your Lunch with the Entrepreneur series again. I'm actually a little late today and I apologize. I had to take my fiance to a very important doctor's appointment today. But nonetheless, the show still goes on. Today we got another good one for you. I'm interviewing Miss Janae McEwen. She owns a virtual assistant company called Ask Blue Jay at askbluejay.com, and she's based online, so this is a real good one that you guys might be interested in. Maybe you can start a company similar to hers, so listen up. And she also has some deals that she's going to list for you at the end too if you're interested in her services, so pay attention and let's roll.
Hello.
Hello, Miss Janae.
Speaking.
How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great today. I actually just woke up from a little quick nap, so I'm a little discombobulated right now trying to recover, but other than that, I'm pretty good. I always like to start these interviews with your story, so can you give us a little quick, brief synopsis of your background pretty much?
Sure. I'm Janae McEwen. I'm from Chicago, Illinois, and it's very cold today, so I'm staying indoors as much as I can to keep warm.
Right.
My base for my program that I created started probably about a year ago. I've been in the service industry for 11 years in healthcare and then 6 years working with non-for-profit organizations.
Okay.
And going over the course of time, I always say, I want to create something that's mine. It's fine to go clock in for a normal 9 to 5, or for 10 years I worked nights. So my clocking in was from 11 to 8 a.m.
Right.
So it was a difference. And I decided that, I've been helping people do all kinds of things for their businesses, themselves individually. And I look to see what can I do as a service-based project, so to speak, and it'll garner me income. So I looked into some things and I found out about a virtual assistant. And I was thinking to myself, like, wow, I've been doing this for years for free. So if this is something that someone is willing to pay me to do, I think I should look into it. So I started researching. I gave myself about 30 days to get my plan together to figure out how I wanted to do it. I would say internet is actually my biggest resource, because anything I had a question on, anything I was unsure of, I could always go to the internet and find. So during that 30-day time frame, I gave myself a game plan. I created a name, I created a logo, I created a website, and then I was like, okay, now I got to put this all together. So I did like a soft launch with friends and family, and it kind of worked. It just happened. Sometimes things are laid out for you. You just have to figure out how you want to get there. And I think Ask Blue Jay came about just on a whim, and it worked, and it's been working ever since.
So that's amazing. I like the fact that you basically took something that you were already doing and figured out how to make some money off of it. And that's something that I like to preach a lot. People always say, how can I generate some extra revenue? Well, just figure out what are you doing already right now that you can monetize. So I love that you actually did that. How long exactly have you been doing the virtual assistant business?
That's funny, because when I tell people my actual open date is like, are you serious? I started August 2016. Okay. So that's only been 4 months. But like I said, I have been doing the work per se for years.
Right.
And it was just something that when I saw that people were making like serious income from it, I was like, this can't be that difficult. So I did what I had to do. I did my homework and I just set it up. And things fell into line. And by the grace of God, things have been doing well. And I only can see things getting better. The longer I do it, the more I grow and I learn. And you just have to use what you have. It's not perfect, but it's way better than it was at day one.
Absolutely. And Ask Blue Jay, is that your nickname, by the way?
In theory, yes.
Okay.
Blue Jay started out in 2000. I was like a freshman in college. And blue is my favorite color. Mm-hmm. And everyone, like my friends call me Jay. So it kind of like stuck. And I made it into an email, Blue J 26, with 26 being my birthday.
Right.
And it kind of like fell into play. And the ask is technically is ask, seek, knock, which is in reference to the biblical scripture Matthew 7:7, which speaks on ask, seek, knock, which basically is I just drew a blank. Ask and I drew a blank.
It's all right.
Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open to you. That's the ask, seek, knock, which is the ask Blue Jay part. And that scripture has been in my life for a long time. So I took that and I said, if you ask, seek, and you knock, things will happen. And I feel like ask Blue Jay that's me. That's me all day long. Right. So as long as it resonates with me, I know I can make it great because I know I put my all into it, and that's just who I am.
And that's great because a lot of times we have to, as entrepreneurs, we have to find things that are bigger than us to keep us going. So for you to be able to tie a spiritual relationship to what you're doing, I think that's great. And speaking of Ask, Seek, Knock, I see that you have a blog titled Ask, Seek, Knock. And what can we find on that blog pretty much?
Ask, Seek, Knock, the blog. It basically covers tips as far as like how a virtual assistant can benefit an entrepreneur, a business owner, even an individual. Because a lot of times people hear virtual assistants and they immediately think of like, oh, it's just a secretary. Not necessarily, because the realm of the virtual assistant world is great, depending on what your actual niche is. So the blog gives you tips and ideas on how to use a virtual assistant, things that's going on as far as like internet marketing, depending on what's the latest and greatest or something. So the blog is just to go along with how can we utilize virtual assistants in everyday business or everyday personal life, because you can use a virtual assistant like you would a personal assistant. It's just they're not physically with you. So the blog gives people a chance to see other ways that a virtual assistant can be used.
Okay, gotcha. I might have to check that out. I was actually thinking here recently that I might could use a little help with a VA with my online, social media, with my social media stuff. So maybe I need to check that blog out.
You sure can. You could ask Blue Jay for assistance.
Absolutely. Yeah, right. And I want to know this. So what's the easiest part of having your business being based online?
The easiest part
based online anyway.
Oh, it is. It okay. is, because I would say the easiest part is being able to connect with the entrepreneur, the client, the individual. Because, like, for example, I have a client that's based in London, mm-hmm. and the opportunity is great. You wouldn't be able to have that if you were limited to just a brick-and-mortar location.
Right.
Not that brick-and-mortar locations don't work, but it opens you up to a wide variety of options. Right. Because the world is as big as we make it. I would love to have a local base, but, you got to start where you can. If somewhere else there's a person who's in need and they're across the country, hey, I'm available. So being able to be online gives me opportunities to meet new people, create lasting client relationships, and it opens up to potentially expanding my business so that it can be known just, wherever someone may need assistance at. And that's the ultimate goal, is to become known so that you won't be limited to just, referrals from friends and family. Right. Because, we can rely on them, but at the end of the day, they can't be your only source of receiving clients, because at some point it's going to fall short. Absolutely. If you only rely on friends and family. Absolutely. So I think having it online gives the opportunity to draw in a clientele that I wouldn't normally interact with.
Absolutely. And I always try to teach people one of my things that I've been teaching on my channel was don't even tell your friends and family in the beginning, so to speak, just because number one, a lot of times people will try
They
to,
don't want to pay.
right, and they'll try to pay less. They'll try to talk you out of doing it, say that you're taking risks, go get a real job. It's all type of stuff. So they like to see you be successful with strangers before they can actually help you out a little bit. But the other thing
That is
too,
ultimately true.
yeah.
Yes.
And another thing too, you just dropped a jewel because you said the online, the world is basically as big as you make it, and that's something that I'm just now understanding that I'm tapping into this online world. That's key because it really is so many people out there that need exactly what you have to offer. You just got to figure out how to get in front of them. So that's good stuff.
Right. Because it's some people, it's a you everywhere. You know what I mean? Like if you think about it, it's somebody who's going through the same problems you're going through. They're having the same issues. They're having the same dilemmas. And there's nobody on their end that can help them. But you being who you are, you can reach them if your base is online.
Absolutely. All right. So my next thing to follow right up on that with the easiest thing, I want to ask you, what has been the biggest struggle for you with this business you have?
Consistency. And I say consistency because that includes not only me, but that includes clients. That, you know what I mean? Because I can say, like, some days I was like, oh, well, I don't feel like doing something today. I can do it tomorrow. And the consistency of it is with a business that you putting your all behind, if you're not consistent, then it won't flow right. So there are days where you have to sit back and say, okay, I need a breather, which is fine. Everybody needs that downtime. But the consistency is if you consistently do the work, everything else will consistently fall in place. And like right now, they say the holidays are the hardest for virtual assistants on some cases because people take holidays. People take vacations. People don't want to work. So they want to say, let's take a break.
Right.
That consistency, it happens. But then you have to figure out a way to do something else. So you work through it. And I think being consistent is something that I'm working on because I see where the consistency makes a difference.
Absolutely, and that's definitely key, just to keep going at it. And I heard you earlier. You said that you basically gave yourself 30 days, and you just went to work pretty much. So
I did.
did you actually create your website yourself? Because I actually looked at your website, and it looks real nice. Did you do that yourself?
I did. In my 30 days, I did that also. That was part of the plan. I took the route that I could afford because I said that it was easier to establish it at my pace than to shell out money to someone else to do it that I really didn't have. So I nickel and dimed it. I mean, I took my time. I worked on each page. I created. My goal was to make it user-friendly, and I used my mother. She's retired, so if she could work it, anyone could work it.
Right.
Because that's how I felt like if it was easy enough for my mother to utilize it on the internet, on the tablet, on the telephone, then it could work for anyone. Because you got to remember that a lot of our business owners, they're aging. So they're getting out of using technology as much. So if they want to hire a virtual assistant, they need to be able to navigate the virtual assistant's website or however they choose to contact. Exactly. So I made it so that my website wasn't, it's not the flashiest at all, but it gets what it needs to be done in a user-friendly format.
Right. I should have thought of that, getting somebody else, especially the target market in particular, seeing if they can actually navigate through my website. I like that tip. The other thing I want to ask you about your website is, what kind of advice can you give us on generating traffic to the website? I see that you got your blog, and is that kind of like a traffic generating source for you as well?
It is. It helps. I would say generally when I use certain tag words because I've noticed that certain tag words on different sites generate more traffic. So what I try to do is during my social media posting, I always refer to something on my site as well because that gives a reference point. So if I tag back to something that I talked about on my website or something that I may offer as a service, I use that as a platform to get my own website out there. I also include it in all of my signatures when I send out emails so that someone who may not know I offer virtual assistant services, they'll see that and perhaps they'll click on it. So the traffic, I think the greatest way is just to put it out there. Once you put it out there and start using it and people will see it, then that'll bring traffic to it.
Point blank, period. And that leads me right into my question that I always like to ask towards the end. You said just put it out there. And when you just put it out there, you're basically just jumping out there. So being that you already jumped, I want to see what pushed you to just take the jump, and then what can you kind of offer to my audience as some advice on why they should take the jump also.
That's a very good question. As far as what pushed me personally, I would say a need to have something that was my own. I'm 35 years old, and I felt that now was a perfectly good opportunity to to establish something that was mine. I go to work every day, so why not have an avenue that can be my own? I won't have to answer to anyone. I create my own boundaries. I create my own timeline. I create the jobs that I want to work on. So it's a sense of independence, and it also gives me an avenue to hopefully one day employ others that are able to do the same. Because ultimately I want to create a team where it's just not only me working as a virtual assistant, but bringing on people with other specialties. Because I have a lot of people who have great skills and they just don't have an avenue to put those skills to use. So I want to be able to create a team where Ask Blue Jay is just not one virtual assistant, it's a team of virtual assistants, and we provide extraordinary services to a lot of people. So ultimately, I want to have a business that can stand on its own. Like, it may not need me to run the day-to-day, and it'll provide a service, and it'll maintain its integrity and keep going to help others in the service-based industry as entrepreneurs and small business owners, or even individuals, because a virtual assistant can help a struggling mother who has to juggle her work schedule and her kids. So she may need a virtual assistant to help her. So that platform, just being able to offer my services to help someone else, gave me the courage to keep going forward. So that jump was made fairly easy. Now, how can I tell someone else to go ahead and make that jump? Mm-hmm. I would say if you find something you're passionate about and you're willing to work at it, give it due diligence, and it's going to take some sacrifice. It's going to be days where you feel like, okay, this isn't working. Maybe I should have thought this through a little bit. But at the end of the day, if you could say that you reached 1-2 people more than you reached the day before, that's progress. Progress comes in all shapes, sizes, and colors. So the jump is there if you want it. If it's in reach, it's tangible. If it's something that you can actually hold on to and make it a business that you think people want, people can use it, B, and C, it can make you some money. That's the ultimate goal. Like, if it can't make you any money, then you just have a hobby. You have a volunteer thing, or ultimately you want to be able to make you money. If it can do that, great. If it can do that and offer a service to help someone else, even better.
That's beautifully stated, Miss Janae. So I want to ask you this last thing, because you sound like you know your stuff, and I think that you have 2 deals going on. I think one of them is a free deal, if I'm not mistaken. So can you share with our audience, because I got a lot of entrepreneurs listening that might could use your services. So what are your 2 deals that you have right now going on?
Okay, sure. First, the free one, because the free one always is, that's a go-getter. The free service right now I'm offering is a virtual assistant task guide. The way it's set up is you download this task guide, and it gives you scenarios on how to use a virtual assistant to help your business grow. The virtual assistant task shows you, like, for example, say you need to do social media blogging, social media marketing. Okay, the entrepreneur will have to create the content. that is a given. You have to create the copy. You don't want to have someone who is just putting things out there under your name. So you want to make sure that the content is in your voice. So it gives you, in the task guide, it gives you an example. It shows you what all the entrepreneur needs to do. And then it gives you a ton of options that you can outsource, delegate to a virtual assistant. So basically, it's a guide that offers an entrepreneur ideas on how to use a virtual assistant so that they can focus on the income-producing tasks of their business. It gives them a helping hand, and it shows them how they actually can use them. Because that's a lot of questions I always get.
Right.
Well, what can a virtual assistant do for me? Anything you want them to do. Right. Anything you don't feel like doing. Anything you know how to do but just don't want to do it. That's exactly what the virtual assistant can do. Sometimes it may be a task that's tedious. Sometimes it's just a task that you simply don't have time for. So the task guide gives you an idea how to use a virtual assistant, and you can focus on something else in the meantime.
Great.
And the next offer I have currently is a holiday flash sale. As we end the year, everybody's looking for a deal. So for the holidays, I decided to take 25% off my packages. The packages will give the person X number of hours for a certain amount for 30 or 90 days, depending on what they select. Also, during this time, I created a starter plan, which would be perfect for a business owner who is not quite sure how to utilize a virtual assistant, but know they need some help. The starter plan is a smaller package, and it is good for 30 days. That way they can see exactly how it works with a virtual assistant, what all the virtual assistant can do, and then that'll give them an idea of how much time they potentially could need with a virtual assistant. Excellent. So the 25% off sale goes through December 31st, and it just gives people a way to use a virtual assistant.
All right, sounds good. And for all of my listeners who made it to this point, you actually got to get a chance to capture this deal. So thank y'all guys for sticking around. It looks like we made it to the end of my questions. I just want you to share real quick all of your contact information, your social media, whatever you choose to share with my people so they can keep up with you, or if they want to use any of your products or services, how can they reach you?
Sure. Well, first thing they can always go to is askbluejae.com. That's AskBluejae.com. AskBlueJay.com can be found on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Google+, any social media platform you can find. Ask Blue Jay is there. It can be spelled out AskBlueJae. That's BLUEJAE, Blue Jay. Not like the bird, but AskBlueJae.com.
Excellent stuff. And I'll also put a link in my description on this video. This is Miss Janae McEwen, you guys. And Miss Janae, I really appreciate you taking this time to speak with me and my listeners. You've done an excellent job, and we really learned a lot from you today, and hopefully we'll keep in touch.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Don't bother me, I'm working. Don't